Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode of The Voice. And today we have the pleasure of Randy joining us. He's also a community ambassador and a very, very experienced tanker. Thanks for joining in, Randy. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you for having us.
Good to hear that. So, are you excited about the new season?
I'm really excited actually. I'm looking forward to trying out the Japanese tank destroyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we're getting a new era 3TD. So, Randy, let me get straight to the point. You run a community clan, right? In fact, you run 3 community clans under plebs. What's your experience with the current clan system we have in the game?
I do, yes. I run the pleb clan along with a few other the content creators like Petty 360 and Swindle 321. Um, I enjoy obviously the clan for us. We got it together as a community clan just to try and bring the community of our followers together all in one clan. But I find the biggest problem, I guess for me personally, we stumble across because we run 3 clans. And the reason we need to do that is because you actually cap the clan membership to 100 per clan. So once you go over that 100 point, obviously we had no choice to create an additional clan. And then once that one filled up, another clan. And that could be a little bit of a problem managing just because you will have certain people want to be in one of the clans, even though we stress that they're all the same. That can be a bit of a problem because you need to get certain people to accept the invites, and then you'll have people who want to change to another clan because some of their friends are there. It would be so much easier, I believe, if you could just have, increase that number. Like, even if you had to like pay a certain amount of extra gold maybe to get an extra 100
Mm-hmm.
like you would have to pay anyway to create a new clan. That's I guess that's my biggest problem with the clan system, as well as
Does PC have more or less restriction on the player count in a clan? Do you know about that?
I'll be honest, I don't 100% know the answer to that question, whether they are capped at 100
Mm-hmm.
or not now.
Yeah, but you're right in the sense, right? We could have something like when you create a clan, you have an option how many player limit you want, and based on that, you can pay the gold, right? So even this way, you're still paying the extra gold for your second and third clan. So Wargaming won't lose out on that gold component or the cost of um, creating a clan, but it'll make things easier for anyone that's running multiple clans, or basically in your case, the community clans, right? Because community clans will only grow larger with time, and it'll only become an extra work for you in terms of managing them, correct?
Yeah, that's certainly how I view it. Because like I say, you're not losing out on anything. I don't know like the technical difficulties
Mm-hmm.
it would have of doing so, but
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, you're still paying the extra gold to have the bigger memberships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would be very helpful in our case. I don't know if there's other sort of larger community clans out there that have the same sort of issues.
Yeah. Wargaming did recently introduce the clan leaderboard. What did you heard about that? Or I mean, what did the player feedback was? Because this is the first time we had an actual official Wargaming clan leaderboard, if I'm not mistaken. We did have third party ones, and then they made
Yeah,
a second update to that as well, right? Because initially when they introduced it, even one person clan could be there, but they added
yeah.
filters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I certainly think the clan leadership, I mean, firstly, it's great that they're doing some love towards the clan and some sort of reason for wanting to be a part of a clan other than just to be in a clan with your friends. So it's good that they're showing some initiative on doing something. Um, it is good, the clan leaderboard. It's a good starting point. I guess one thing I would like to see from the clan leaderboards, obviously you have the clan leaderboard, but it only shows the clan, right? So if you want to see the actual members of the clan and how they're doing within the clan, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure you can see individual players to set or
Okay, so currently we don't have the ability to see the individual players' contribution to the ranking system. All we see is the summary, which is basically on the clan page, but they do have plans to add additional information where you can see, so player can, I guess, the leaderboards is about bragging rights, right? And within the leaderboard, players can see which one's contributing more and kind of have a little bit of, I guess, a bragging within a clan. So they'll probably add that in the future. I expect them to. That will be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be I think this is a starting point. I think that, hopefully that is something they add, because I think if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have that leaderboard like that, it would be quite nice to be
Yeah.
able to see that. Um,
They were quick to
yeah,
up.
obviously
Sorry.
you could be a part of clan from.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying they were quick to add the filters. They released the clan leaderboard and then it was all a mess. But they were quick to add the leaderboard. So I am expecting we will have more updates soon. Because this seems to be independent from our game, right? Where we have to wait for like a season to get updates for whatever reason. But I think website has different policies, so we should get updates soon. At least that's what I feel about it.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. Yeah, it's good that you now can sort of filter it by sort of different times and etc. as well, and how many players are in the clans as well, which is quite handy. Because obviously, if you've got a larger clan, then you're not going to be able to compete with clan members that maybe have got the minimum of 10 players.
Yeah, because that might also lead to people just kicking out players, right? Just because
Yeah,
they're bringing
exactly.
it down. But
I mean,
or go ahead.
I say obviously you can be a clan part of multiple reasons. I mean, you may wish to be in a clan because you want to be,
Mm.
viewed as a number one clan, and you
Mm-hmm.
want to have all your stats number one, and that's great. Obviously, you can be a part of a clan just because you want to be a part of a larger community. So I do think they should add other aspects to help that, actually,
Mm-hmm.
like different sort of things you can do to try and boost the clans and the reason to be a part of one.
And I think one thing would be to add some sort of clan rewards in game as well, right? Something you can earn. We have so many ops in the game these days, and I feel some sort of op specifically for clans.
Exactly. I think that'd be a really good idea. Just like, an op where you just earn a certain amount of XP, but to unlock an item, whether it be a cosmetic
Mm-hmm.
or vehicle or what, but something where everyone in the clan works together, and then that just gives you another reason for players to be a part of a clan, which is good because you want players to meet other people and maybe being part of a clan, they might meet other players and then they get people to platoon with, and you
Yeah,
just grow your knowledge of the game from there.
exactly. Because that the best way to become better at the game is talk to the other people, right? Like play with other people, someone who's more experienced than you. Basically, you learned from um, anyone, right? Anyone who's playing the game longer than you for the most part. And I think we don't even need much, right? Currently, we get free war chests where you get boosters or some rewards. Even if
Yeah,
something like 10% XP boost for your first 5 battles if you're playing in a clan platoon. That would be incentive in my opinion. That would be a starting point
I,
for rewards.
no, I definitely agree. It would be a very good starting point, because you do learn so much when you actually eventually get to meet other people. Because I remember, well, probably going back 10 years now, where I wasn't in the clan whatsoever, and I remember just getting asked by an old tanks who plays the game if we wanted to join now. I didn't even know who these clans were. I saw the tags, but I didn't really know what they were for.
Mm-hmm.
But then you just learn so much of other players who are then playing the game, and it gives you so much vast knowledge. So I think the incentive, but my point behind that is, I think the incentive to try and get people to join clans is very, very, it should be a strong part of the game,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it'd be good for the community.
And to add to that, to make it easier, then they should add the option where you can send invites or remove people or move people through the console, right? I don't think it's very convenient, especially for a new player. If you want them to join your clan and you tell them, oh, you have to go to this website, log in, half of them won't even remember their password because they just log into your Xbox and play, right? So they would be hesitant. They would be hesitant to join a clan. But if it's in game, it just makes everything so smooth for anyone, right? And for you who has had so many members, it will
I
be.
would,
Mm-hmm.
without that, that would be, yeah, an in-game management of the clan would be so useful, because like as you get people sort of message all the time, but either via Discord or on Xbox saying, I've sent the request in.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I have the problem where we have the 3 different clans. So then we don't have space in these clans. So we say, no, you need to then send a request
Yeah.
into this clan.
Yeah.
And then you have to explain that they are all the same clans. It's just a different, just because of the restrictions. So I think an in-game management would be very good.
Yeah. We have the cross play friend request system. I think could be something, a tab that could be added there where people can just currently, as they send add request, right? They can just send clan request. Obviously, there will be additional steps required, but they can make
Well, I
use
think,
of that menu that we have.
I mean, yeah, and also you could then, in that sense, you can maybe see which clan members are online, and available to play,
Yeah, exactly.
which should be quite good.
Yeah, because that's the one thing, right? You could quickly see who's available and then join them to play. That'll
Yeah,
make
because for sure.
that will definitely improve the value of clans, right? We will have an answer because I see these random posts on Facebook asking, "What's the real benefit of joining the clan?" And I never answered them because there is none really, right? Unless you want to just play together or represent a group of friends. But it does have a, I guess, disadvantage because you do get focused time to time once you get better above a certain threshold. But with these
Oh,
rewards, right, you could kind of say, okay, these are the benefits. If you want these benefits, obviously there's the invaluable benefit of getting better by playing with other players. But then there's also a little incentive of these in-game rewards that can boost your XP grind or silver grinds, right?
yeah, for sure. Exactly. I do think you need the incentive because obviously there is the, yeah, like you say, the negative of you being a part of a clan. You might find that someone else is, I don't know, killed a tank in game and then they just recognize that tag, for example. So they got to go, oh, well, I'll focus that person. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it happens, all the time,
Yeah.
but it might happen every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do think yeah, there should be an incentive to join the clan. Um, Also, I think having like that, you mentioned a really good point, really, with the in-game management of the clan and maybe the features so you can see who's online. Because at this point, you could join the clan, but unless you then join their Discord server, which they're likely, a big clan will probably have one,
Yeah,
you're not going to know the members.
exactly.
So
It's impossible to, not impossible, it's very difficult to, get, imagine adding all those 100 people in the clan, which you can't, right? You'll
yeah,
probably add 3 or 4 and then slowly keep adding others. But if there's a system in place where you can, once you join the clan, you can see all those members that are online in the clan automatically, how convenient that will be for a community
oh,
clan, right?
yeah, it would definitely add a massive value.
Yeah, because right now people will ask in Discord, is anyone available to platoon? And if someone is playing, they don't usually check their phone, right? They'll just be playing, and once they're finished playing, they're like, okay, let's look at my phone now if I got any messages, and they'll reply with, well, I was playing, but not anymore, right? So that,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
mm,
Yeah, no, I have the same thing.
yeah. Yeah, I do hope we get more progress towards clans because it did say that we are getting something, but I hope it's not just the web portal, but also the in-game stuff, as we discussed. Um,
Yeah, I mean, even if you can get the leaderboards in game, I don't know if that would ever happen. We've only
yeah,
obviously made the first step here, but
yeah, I
you
would
know,
say so. Yeah,
if that could happen,
yeah, because the not many people, as I said, visit the site, right? If they're on the Xbox, they just stay on the Xbox and
yeah,
like an
I
icon.
mean,
Hmm.
some people might not even know that there is the leaderboards because
Yeah.
if you don't, not everyone is going to view the news and stuff. Some people just live in on the game, and then that's that. So yeah, you obviously got to have
Hmm.
quite a big interest to then go out there, and you want to be, you'd have to look for the information almost.
Yeah, and that could be just part of that section about where we were talking about different clan features, adding sending requests. There should just be a clan leader board, I guess, a shortcut that could be added where you can not. It shouldn't refer to the website. It should just have its own, uh, within our game, so it's more
Yeah,
cleaner. Because I don't like when it says, "Oh, do you want to use Edge to go here?" Because we do have some links currently in the game that
yeah,
take us to the third party, and I don't want to do that. And most of the people, it seems fishy, right? Whenever someone asks or application asks, "Do you want to leave the application to go somewhere else?" You're like, "Nah, I'll
yeah,
just
and
stay here."
if you're playing on, your Xbox or your PlayStation, whatever, it's always going to be quite clunky as well when you do eventually go. If you're viewing it on your, maybe you're on a TV.
Hmm.
It's yeah.
So let's move on to the next part. What do you think about our current MOE system?
So our current MOE system, I mean, for me, I would say the biggest problem it has right now is the mark requirements and the bots. That's my biggest problem because not a lot of people, not everyone will know this, but you can play at a certain time if you're playing on the EU and you play late at night. You'll come across lots of bots, and playing against bots is obviously not the same as playing against other players. So generally speaking, it's a lot easier, and you can get more damage than you would normally if you're just playing against the players. So I feel like that's a problem because that then, in sense, increases the requirements to mark tanks. So if your person will just, you don't play at that time, you're going to obviously find it harder to mark tanks than someone who would go out their way to play against the bots. Now, not obviously every person would go and do that. Some people just generally play that late. But I feel like the impact that the bots are having to the MOA system is a negative, and that is almost a double-ended thing as well, because you would find, like for me, I find now the time it takes to mark a tank, I know I could do it quicker if I went and played against bots, and I would never want to do that. But then it's frustrating that someone else out there
Hmm.
may be doing it, and it's taking me longer than it would for said other person, just because they're playing against bots and stuff like that. So I think something should be done about that. I think that would be a positive change. I don't know your thoughts on
Yeah,
what you
so
think could be done.
I definitely agree that it does raises the requirements mainly because how low player count we have, and it's getting, at least because of the amount of bot games we get, even on peak times. I've been seeing an increase in bot numbers. Could be temporary. I don't know the exact numbers, but our numbers are way less than PC. Or our numbers are less than what it was pre 6.0 because now our game is divided into 4 segments, right? We have World War II, Cold War, then we have co-op for each mode. And when the player base gets split, then on average the marks requirement go high. And as you said, right, if you're playing and you can either play 500 games or 200 games to get a mark at a regular or peak time, while on the other hand you can play 5 or 10 games to get the same mark, right? There's just a huge difference on the ease to get the marks. And one of the reasons Wargaming said that they added bots was to handle the queue time because they were getting a lot of timeouts, and that's why they added. Ideally, in a perfect world, I don't think we should have bots, but looks like that won't happen because I don't know if you recall. Initially, we used to have at least 7 players in each game before they can fill it with bots, but then they had to reduce from 7 to 3 real players. So basically, now you can have 12 bots per team during low peak hours, right, when not enough players are involved. And I did made one of the suggestion, or even submitted on the Friday stream, that if we can't remove the bots from game, can we at least remove the games that are played with bots, or if there are any bots in the game, from the MOE dataset? They already removed it from Friday shoutout. So, before we used to get shoutout, they would include bot games, but they don't anymore. And I wanted something similar so that if someone is playing at night, as you said, there could be some person that just plays at night regularly, right? He's not marking, he's just playing because that's his preferred time. And if he gets, let's say, 10 bots, or even if someone who's intentionally playing at time and has like a 10k or 12k damage game, those games will not be included in the last 14 days period which evaluates the current damage standing, or sorry, the requirements. That will reduce the mark. It won't affect the players. The players that are exploiting, or that are playing against bots, they'll still have the same easier requirements, but at least it'll make things more fair for people that can't play at those hours or don't want to. Even if it's like 0.1% or 0.5% easy to achieve that mark, I think that would be fair, or at least a starting point to address this issue. And it also guarantee peace of mind, right? Because right now, if I'm struggling with a mark, I'll be like, those guys played against bots and increased the mark, and that's the problem. But if we kind of at least remove those games from the calculation, I don't have to worry about the data being um, miscalculated just because of, not miscalculated, but the data being flawed.
Inflated, like,
Yeah, because of that. So I think I feel that something is doable.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Definitely when you mention that they've already done it to for the sort of the weekly
Yeah, the shout
um
outs.
the shout outs. So yeah, so it seems like, or at least from the outside, that it must be technically possible.
It is
So I
technically
definitely, yeah,
possible. I did ask Mr. SP. He said it's more about a policy thing. Asked him in the main Discord, and so that's hopefully once we get that answer, hopefully it's what
yeah, I
we're
think that would
suggesting.
be,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, it'd definitely be a positive change.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like people do get, I mean, just the feedback I get, people do get frustrated now that it takes a lot longer to mark tanks
Mm-hmm.
than it had or had done previously.
Mm-hmm.
And also the negative, like, because it takes so long, like you'll go up such a small percentage at a time, and you then have that inevitable one bad game, which everyone's going to have now and
Exactly.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the drop off is just so, it drops off so much. You now
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, I've got to play another 4 average games of the requirement just to get, or even
Exactly.
more just to get back to where it was, and then that there is, brings in the frustration.
Ex-
Obviously, you never want to make the marks too easy, because obviously it's a point to them that they want to be, there's a reason that, it's for the end game content that people want to
mm-hmm.
try and show off that, oh, I can get that.
Exactly.
But it has to be a fine balance.
Yes, true. And that's what the other thing I told them, right? Because we use this PC system, but we have two handicaps. We have one handicap for the to remove the extreme high games, right? Because we can't use the actual data set. And then we have another handicap to even out the maps. For example, someone who's playing a light tank, 10 times on Himmelsdorf won't have the result compared to someone who's playing light tank on Westfield, right? But we don't have any handicap for bot of having those bot
Yeah,
games removed, right? So that's why I don't think it makes sense to add the handicap. Just remove them from the data set, and it'll make the players that actively try to mark more passionate, or and make it an enjoyable experience for them. Because as you said, right now, one bad game, one bad decision can cost you 1 hour because you have to play 4 or 5 games to make up for that, and that's not a fun experience. Especially because the goal
no,
isn't to mark one tank, right? You want to mark a tank and then move on to the next one. It's not like the entire year you're only trying to mark one. There are so many tanks get added every weekend. There are a lot of people that probably want to mark 2 or 3 tanks in a month. Maybe like a new tank that
yeah,
got
and
added.
then obviously if it takes so long as well, you can have other things
Mm-hmm.
where you might get past a week or something, and then the mark requirements might change,
Yes,
and then you might lose that percentage. And then if
exactly.
it's okay, obviously myself, like, and yourself, we probably marked quite a lot of tanks, so generally we'll just get that tank and we'll mark it. But if you want to do it gradually, then that's a problem, because you don't, you might, oh, I'm getting so close, I'm at 94%, and you
Mm-hmm.
come to play it next week and you've dropped down to 90, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's again an issue.
Yeah. And another thing they mentioned, someone asked them if we can get a MO in game, and they said that back in the day it was no, and now they are. I think the board was thinking about it or talking about it. So maybe we'll get like an actual requirements in game as well to kind of aid players so that how much they have to exactly do, right? Because we do have third party sites, but they're not really accurate. But
Yeah, yeah,
mhm. When it comes to PC, they
yeah, I
have a
do
lot
think
of
that'd be a
more
good idea.
accurate mods that kind of once you know exactly how much you have to do, it kind of gives you a clear picture of the expectation, right? Right now, it's also like this game I moved up a little bit, that other game I didn't move at all. So what's happening, kind of thing. And I think once we have that,
Yeah, I mean, n- not everyone even sort of knows about those third party apps. You'd be surprised. I had the other day, like, so people will ask, how do you know? And then you can also send them a link to the
oh yeah,
third party site. But
mm-hmm.
some people don't even know that they exist.
Yeah,
So I do think that would be a useful tool.
yeah. So hopefully, I'm waiting for the response. Let's see what they get. That would be a first step, and then the second would be, how we had at least 7 real players, and then we went to at least 3 real players. Maybe we go back to 7 real players again and see how if the queue times are better, or maybe I feel I feel we should at least go to 7. I don't know if it is possible because, as I said, right, they don't want to ruin the experience for people that actually play late. But that would be better because
Yeah,
3 seems a little bit too less, right? 12 bots is a bit much. Is a bit much.
yeah. 12 bots is you completely in a game against 12 bots. It's just not the same. It's
Yeah.
not the same game. It's not the same experience, and you will naturally get a lot more damage.
Yeah.
It's just the way how it is. You obviously
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to be able to get the bots, I think, to completely replicate what a player would do.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
never going to happen.
Yeah. Or make them like super talented. I don't know if you remember, there was a time where bots would throw smoke and then fire through the smokes.
Yeah, and
Just
let's
a,
never just auto aim and never miss anything.
yeah.
Always know where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah. Make that. The bots are extremely accurate. So they're like better than your best players. And that way, no one would play against
But
them.
then yeah, that's for sure. But then you don't want to punish the people who do
Exactly.
just naturally play at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully one step at a time. Let's see what they do about this. Maybe then increase the bots to 7 and maybe then remove the bots altogether. We can hope, right? We can at least hope.
Yeah,
But
the dream would be to have no bots, but obviously you just
mhm,
need the player base
we do need the player
to
base
get
for
there.
that. Yeah. And the other thing is when we do get the players, right? If we have more population, the marks usually get lower as well because more people play it. The marks are lower. Less people play it, it's higher. So, yeah, having more players is actually the answer that solves so many of these issues, right?
For
Related
sure.
to
Yeah,
MOE. Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. Because obviously, yeah, when a
Mm-hmm.
new tank comes out on the season pass, naturally the requirements will drop for that tank
Yeah,
because more people are playing it because they've just
exactly.
earned the tank.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the next, we did briefly talk about the season when we started this. Yeah, and you mentioned Japanese TD. What else do you like about the season? What have you been hearing? What the feedback? What are the
Yes,
particular that people are excited for?
I think a lot of people are excited about. Obviously, myself, unfortunately, I don't play Cold War, so I don't have much feedback on the new Cold War tanks.
Mm-hmm.
But quite excited about obviously just a Japanese new tank destroyer coming out, which I'm guessing is probably going to lead to a line. Just putting two and two together.
Yeah.
So I think people are excited about that. I like the fact that you got was the Arichi Oni is a free tank,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think, from memory, I don't think it's a tank which has been given away
No, this
that
is the first
recent
time. Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You had to buy
and
it.
that's something that's a big thing because you want to get the value out of the season pass. Like generally, the 2,000 gold season pass is for me is always going to be worth it because you're going to get majority of that gold back.
Yep.
Um, and I do like the season pass idea. Since they brought the season pass out, I do think it's a very positive impact to the game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the one thing I would say, which can be frustrating with some of the previous seasons, is when they release a tank which has only just been given away, because it just naturally decreases the value of that season pass if the players have already got that tank. But when they're giving a tank away like the Arichi, it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been given away before. That's obviously that's a free tank as well, on the free season pass, I believe.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, that's a really positive. I think so far this season actually looks really good.
Yeah, this really helps the players who've been playing for a while, right? As you said, it's last season they gave away Type 59 too. That's a very old tank. A lot of people have that tank. They just got the
Yeah,
silver equivalent, and that's not really something that benefits them. Yeah, it benefits newer players because it's a new tank for that. But as I said, they should mix it up, right? This time we're getting Orochi, relatively new tank. I didn't have the tank, and now I'll have a new tank to my collection instead of just the silver. And of course, it also benefits the newer players because they don't have old tanks, then they don't have the new ones either, right?
yeah.
So that's nice. But the biggest thing about the season is we are getting live oaks back.
Oh, yeah, of course. Then that is something I'm absolutely buzzing for. I've been waiting for a long time to have
Yeah,
Live Oaks back.
yeah.
Um, I'm so excited
I
to be
think
able to play that map again.
I think that was the best map that we were missing from the remaining maps. If we are missing a lot of maps, but this was the best one that we needed. I don't think there's a better map than Live Oaks. That's currently not.
No, I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, No, I 100% agree with that. That's a tank. They kept bringing all the maps back on the previous ones,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be disappointed to get another map.
Yeah.
But it's Live Oaks is the one
Yep.
which I'm waiting for. I just really hope. I hope they have kept it as much as the same
Yep.
as
Yep.
it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited about playing that again.
Yeah, because that map, it's a place for heavy tanks. It has a place for snipers. It has place for light tank. It has place for mediums, right? Every class can play that map effectively,
Yep.
and you don't really get capped down on the base because base is kind of closed, right? You have shots there, and there's a swamp in the middle, which kind of prevents, there is a field, but it prevents the light tank to just YOLO around because it slows down their speed. That map is as close to a perfect map that we can get, I feel, where every class has a role that they can
Yeah.
play efficiently. So yeah,
Yeah,
really hyped about it.
it have everything, and it's a look. It's a nice visual map as well.
Mm-hmm.
It has, yeah, it really does. That was well, one always was one of my favorite maps
Mm-hmm.
um in the game. So yeah, I'm very happy that that's back, and I think that's the feedback, at least on my side, um, have a similar view to myself. They're all kind of waiting for that map, so I think that's going to have a good reception.
Yeah. And usually we complain about having new map too many times. Maybe this time we won't get enough of it, and we will ask we need more live oaks. Instead of having had heightened
Yeah,
frequency for 2 weeks, maybe give it us for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't feel you'll get any complaints about how
Hmm.
long that's in the map rotation for.
Yeah. We're getting a little bit of balance changes. Not nothing significant, just FV and Panzer 7. They got a little armor buff. It was confirmed today. They'll become a
Yeah,
little bit more playable as they can play their role effectively. They can side scrape.
I think they did the FV
215.
215B
Yeah.
201, but yeah, that got a buff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at all the changes I must admit yet, which I need to do before
Yeah.
tomorrow. Um, but yeah, no, it's a good season. Like I say, I can't believe I forgot Live Oaks was coming back when you asked that question now.
Uh, and then moving on to the next. How do you feel about contracts being tied to classes? Are players happy about it?
I don't, well, at least from what I've heard and my personal opinion, I think the biggest problem they have, like I'm trying not to be too negative, but the biggest problem I find they have with the contracts when they're tied like that is, for example, the best example is a recent one with the Czech TD they're giving away. So that's obviously tied with only playing a tank destroyer class.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a few issues with that. The first one is just, some people might not want to only play tank destroyers, and it's quite a long contract op. And do you really want to be forced to play a tank that class if you don't really enjoy playing that class? Um, the biggest problem I find with it is it then forces everyone to play the tank destroyers, and it kind of ruins the matchmaking. Because I've had so many games recently where I think I had one earlier and it was 10 TDs on each team,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not a fun lobby to be playing in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the most fun lobbies from my perspective is when you've got a balanced lobby, when you've got like heavy tanks, medium tanks, TDs, and maybe one ideally light tank, maybe two. You don't want loads running around. So
You forgot
yeah,
about
I think it
artillery though.
forces. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no
Well,
artillery.
no artillery ideally.
Artillery is not a
I
real
can live
tank.
with one.
Artillery is not a
No,
real
no,
tank. Yeah.
no.
And that's the
But
thing, right? It's very punishing. You get home, you want to play 5, 10 games, but this TD hiding in the back, you can't spot them. TD have those stealth bonus. You peek, you lose
especially
so much
Yeah,
HP.
especially these days with sorry to over, especially these days with all the Turans and stuff like that, and some of the tanks are ridiculous, like a Turan. Like if you're forcing everyone to play TDs and you go to a higher tier, you're going to see quite a few of them, and they're not exactly fun tanks to play against, especially if you just want to be playing your heavy, because maybe you don't even care about earning the contract,
Yeah,
but you're still affected by it
exactly.
regardless.
Exactly. Like if I have the tank or I just don't want the tank, I'm getting punished because of that. And that's the thing though. There are few things that affects the matchmaking. The biggest one, as you said, which we can control, is tying classes to contracts. In my opinion, I feel tank destroyer and light should not be tied to a contract at all. We can still tie mediums or heavies because they don't have that significant impact on the matchmaking, right? It doesn't make players suffer. And then the second
No,
part, which is
exactly.
inevitable, which is players are fine with, whenever a new line is introduced, there will be spike of those class for that line, right? For example, they released the German line, and a lot of people will be grinding it, and that's why we see a lot of light tanks in Cold War, which is fine because there's no solution to that, right? If people want to grind that line, they will grind that line. We can't say don't add, but at least in this case, in the contracts, we have this solution. I think we should look forward to make it somewhat like don't allow just one class, right? It has to be multiple classes. So
Yeah, for sure. It should definitely be. It should always be. I would
mm,
say 3 classes, but
yeah,
at least 2.
yeah, definitely. I will be happy with three because someone did ask about it. I think on the Friday stream, and they said they restricted to TDs because they wanted player out to step out of their comfort zone. Well, actually, by playing them so many TDs, you're making them the players that are not in
Yeah.
TDs are the ones that are in uncomfortable zone. It's not the ones in the TDs. It's the
You
players.
could the thing is, you could even have the opposite effect of what they're trying to go for there,
Exactly,
because
exactly.
you're going to try and put people into TDs, but then they're not going to get the true effect of the tank destroyer if you've got 10 in the lobby.
Yes.
You're not going to really truly know how the tank plays in a normal environment.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and I think the other contract, if I'm not mistaken, is Tusk also going on? I'm not sure if it is because I already have the tank, so I don't really pay attention. But someone was mentioning me that Tusk is also going on, and Tusk also has the requirements to only play light. And then
I
this,
believe the task is still going on. I believe it is. It definitely was, yeah, going on very recently. I
yeah,
think it's still going on now.
because it's a tier 10, it has much more XP requirements than the tier 8 one, right? So it's even more people will spam more games in light tanks to
I
get
have
that tank.
I have had a few people regarding like the contracts. Yeah, some people have sort of expressed um, some of the earlier stages are difficult for them to do. The
Hmm.
ones where you have to earn a certain amount of assists, for example, in the light tank in a game. Some people found that difficult. Now, I don't know how many people that would be
Yeah.
in the grand schemes of things. But that's just some feedback I've had. I don't know if you had anything similar or.
I do remember back in the day when Sharp Hero first came, I think you had to get assistance same as your HP or get a high caliber in a medium or light, and there were a lot of complaints about that. And I think our game or WoT console is about everyone should be able to earn every tank. So maybe they can make that easier because we're not like PC where certain tanks are only reward for clans. In our
Yep.
game, their goal is or mentality is everyone should be able to have the tank. So if players are your average players are struggling to meet some of those tasks, maybe make them easier but make them longer so that they can see sense of progress
Yep.
with that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. I guess, on the positive, I guess, on the contracts, one thing I have liked, I do like the fact that you can now earn like premium tanks via the contract.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I do think in this day, because obviously I've played the game for such a long time, like there's never been a better time to play the game to actually play for free. There's
Exactly.
never been a better time. You get so
Definitely.
many tanks given away.
Yep.
Um,
Pre 6.0 or before the season started, right? You had to work so hard and you'll get maybe 5 tanks a year, right? Like as an earn op. Or maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe six. But
yeah,
now basically you can get 2 or 3 tanks a month. There are multiple tanks in season. Then you get these other rewards. Like we just got Huntsman. I'm not even sure what that was for. And T34 before that, T3488. And now um, we have additional one through contracts that we can get. There's a KV4 KTTS contract going on. Then there's like a Shrek one. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right. Right now is the best
So,
value for your time when you play the game because you are free to play has no disadvantage. Plus, silver earn is cheap now. Silver is not really a constraint. The commander builds are only 9 skills, so it's not like you're playing against players that have 25 versus your 2 or 3. You can skill swap. You can switch commanders pretty cheap. So yeah,
yeah,
I do agree with that. Um, and hopefully we do see some older players come back, but then some of the newer players that come, they get redirected to Cold War. I wish
yeah,
I wish World War II was still the
yeah,
default, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I mean, it's good. if people come for the Cold War and then they then start to play World War II as well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just good. It's a shame the player base is split, but
Yeah.
ultimately, I love, I love this game. I wouldn't still be playing it, for whatever flaws, something may have. I love it. So any new players which can be attracted to the game is obviously always a good thing.
Exactly. I play Cold War time to time as well. I get bored of World War II, and I will be lying if I hate Cold War. I don't. I still play some tanks for different, variety. But what I do feel is we need to remove ops or reduce them significantly from the co-op mode, because currently you can do ops in co-op, and some players that are, that come to play, why would you play World War II if you can just do the same in co-op? And
Yeah,
that
that's true.
just
That's a good point.
I feel it has a negative impact on the players that want to experience the MVP, because we don't have the luxury of having too many players where half the players can go play co-op, right? Just because
Yeah,
how it
that's a
impacts
good point.
matchmaking or MOE. Yeah, I think, and more recently we've been getting more and more ops in co-op, and I constantly complain about that we need to reduce the co-op. Co-op is there to test, to practice. It's not there to evolve. We're getting so many XP
Yeah.
boost anyway. Why do we need that as well? At least that's my opinion. Obviously, some people might have different who do play co-op, but that's what I feel.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not something I've ever really thought about, I must admit, but when you say it, that is a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever played the co-op mode, apart from when it made me play it when I had to start the game.
Uh,
Um,
I do play it whenever I have
yeah,
to take a thumbnail for a video. I go to co-op, hope for a
get
good
it in
map.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I can't get people to join me in the custom lobby, because usually when I'm
yeah.
doing a video, it's late, right? So I go to co-op and hope for a good map. And then park at the side. Maybe people will report me for being idle or bot, but that it is co-op. It is co-op. What can you?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's what I'm guilty of. Yeah. So Randy, any before we finish this, what do you miss? Is there any specific features you miss we had pre 6.0, or any quality of life improvements that you think we need sooner than later?
I do. I think the one thing I did miss from pre 6.0, I did like the fact that not everything was super accurate. Um, so David was asking stuff what I miss. I've kind of moved past it now, if I'm honest, because it's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just adjusted to how it is now. But I did like I did like that. I think now it just feels like every tank is accurate, even if it's not. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously you're still going to have certain tanks which are more accurate than others,
Yeah.
but you can make everything so accurate now. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can get even your IS-7s and things like that. They're still
Yeah.
Soviet heavy tanks used to be a bit unreliable, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case
Yeah.
now.
You had to be front to pen shots at close range, but now your I7 can be hitting targets 500 meters away, and
Yeah,
exactly, you want to hit the track wheel, no problem. We'll
and
hit
I
that.
think the crew customization, I've actually weirdly, I sort of like having a few less crews like now, but that's mainly because I've built up so many crews that I never need to have a crew again, just because
Mm-hmm.
obviously I had so many big crews before and it converted into the smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would like is a few more perks, maybe, or or even make it so 6 cents, for example, like that should just be a crew skill that everyone has. So maybe just make that a permanent feature and remove it as a crew skill,
Mm-hmm.
just to give people a bit more options to customize their crews. Because I
Make them
find
more
that most
unique.
people's crews are pretty much the same. Like there's going to
Exactly.
be
Mm-hmm.
what seven out of the nine maybe, which you probably everyone's having,
Yep.
and there's only a few which you're going to change. So I
Yeah.
think a few more. Like I definitely think 6 cents could just be removed. Have that as a permanent feature because I think it's a helpful feature for everyone to have.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really want people not to have it on their tank. Just in
Mm-hmm.
my personal perspective, it's useful information. So why not just have it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that frees up an extra slot. I think that could be useful.
And actually, what you just two of the things you mentioned, they could be resolved with a single. There's a simple fix to it. All we have to do is remove steady aim, which I feel, and a rapid loading from the crew skills.
Yeah.
Now that'll make the crews more unique, and you'll have less accuracy. I think our DPM is insane anyway these days. We have active food that is like we used to have vents that give 5%, but active food gives you 25% to crew efficiency, right? I think we can afford to lose um, rapid loading as well because it benefits. Obviously, the DPM affects everyone the same, but the smaller tanks won't have that much impact while they're engaging close range, but it will give you more time to hide, especially if you just get hit by a TD, right? Because now you have, let's say, 1.5 or 2 more seconds before you to get back in cover, right? I feel
Yeah, no, I
in.
think yeah, no, I do. That would be a good change. I think everyone would be in the same boat, so you'd
Yeah,
all lose it.
exactly. Because everyone
And
uses
then
it, right?
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, then maybe you would feel the difference between sort of certain tanks more.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a chieftain, it's always meant to be accurate.
Yep.
But then the other sort of Soviet heavy tanks, or which shouldn't really be that accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that would be a good change. Definitely, I just think the more customization to the crew, so
Mm-hmm.
people do have the feeling that they're maybe being creative and making a crew themselves, which I think, oh, this would be good, rather than just be the same sort
Yeah.
of copy.
Yeah. I think they need to rework a little bit of crew skills here and there because they did confirm that we will never get more than 9 or we will not get 12 crew skills recently. I think it was a Q&A. It was a question in Q&A. And I think this might
And
help with that, reworking
I
some
think
of the existing ones, adding 6 cents as a default.
I have just thought something else actually on that question now, and as general, I think one thing I do miss as well is camo net being camo net rather than just
Mm-hmm.
bonus camouflage,
Exactly.
because
Should be passive only,
that
right?
yeah, I think that you miss an element now, because obviously that was an extra, almost a bit of an extra skill if you like, because you don't want to move to lose your camo net.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just there all the time, and it's making some of the tanks, it's like
Yeah.
all the medium tanks are almost light tanks. It's crazy.
Yeah. We did have a detailed discussion about that when I when Cone was the guest. We won't go in that detail for that for in this one because we're kind of running out of time.
Right.
But I do feel that it should be passive only, right? So that people can't just get close to you without getting spotted. We have more bushes now anyway to help with the camo. Before we had fake bushes or whatnot or fake trees pre 6.0, but all the maps are better now. But I do agree with that. I miss those days when we had passive camo net bonus and lights could outspot people. Now that doesn't seem to
Yeah,
be the case,
for
especially
sure.
with those TD's magic camo net. Okay, so I think that's it for today, Randy. Thanks for joining in.
No worries. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, Randy. Talk to you later.
Thank you, you too.